What's going on? Where am I? The words echoed in Leaf's mind as he moved farther into the thick, dark, gnarled mess of trees in front of him. He was all alone. "Jal? Talia?" he shouted, attempting to locate his friends who had followed him into the dark mangle of wood. "God, come on, Hesper! Is anyone out there?" The only reply was the obnoxious squawking of a bird in the distance. A loud crash could be heard as a large tree limb fell to the ground, missing Leaf only by a few inches. He leapt back immediately, praying there wouldn't be any branches to follow. He'd had enough surprises to last him a lifetime in the last few days alone. Surely whatever god was out there would be nice enough to pity him at this moment. Unfortunately, there was not a moment of rest for the strong-willed. The branch began to open, and Leaf watched in horror as his mother crawled out of the dark wood. Her clothes had been muddied and torn, and her hair was the messiest he'd seen it in his 19 years of life. She looked around the woods, ogling at her surroundings, panic clouding her eyes as she took in the scenery. It wasn't until she looked at her son that she began to feel some sort of relief. "Leaf? Is that you?" she questioned, moving towards him. Leaf stepped back, eyeing her carefully. "Mom? How are you here?" he asked, confusion rising up to the forefront of his mind. He had been stuck in Vestra, the mirror dimension, for weeks now. His mother should have no idea how to enter it, let alone how to find herself in a tree branch in the middle of Riyadh's so-called forest of nightmares. Leaf analyzed the familiar woman in front of him, and watched as her forehead wrinkled, implying that she had started racking her brain to decipher exactly what had happened. A beat passed and she shook her head. "Never mind that. All that matters is that you're safe. I called you 50,000,000 times, Sunshine. You never miss a call from me," she explained, her face morphing into a more perplexed expression. "Why wouldn't you come to me?" she questioned. Because... The words Leaf had tried to say had since floated away from him. Suddenly, he felt the strong urge to walk towards her, feeling a sense of need and duty. He carefully walked back over to the branch, ready to sink into the loving embrace of his mother. However, it seemed that fate had other plans in store for him, for as soon as he was within arm's reach of her, his mother began to grow and stretch in every which way before revealing her true form, a disgustingly large humanoid creature with long, razor-sharp teeth. Leaf was frozen. He tried to move, but he was stuck. Every muscle in his body was focused on the monster that was preparing to devour him whole. The tall, shadowy, void-like creature grinned in delight as it caught a glimpse of his dinner, its 4 hands rubbing against their opposites in a gleeful manner. This is it. This is how I die. To a monster that was my own mother, he thought to himself, mentally cursing himself for dying in the most mortifying way possible. "I'm sorry, Tiger. I'm so incredibly sorry." A single drop of saliva landed on his messy blonde hair as a pair of strong arms tore him away from the danger. Leaf was thrown to the ground, face down, before he heard a deafening, painful roar sound from the vile beast. After catching his breath, he looked up to see Jal standing in front of the now-dead creature, his katana glimmering from the faint sliver of moonlight peeking through the forest canopy. Jal surveyed the beast, clearly trying to make sure that it was really dead, before turning around to check on Leaf. "Did it hurt you?" Jal asked, his voice sounding distant and unlike his usual playful tone. Leaf shook his head and attempted to stand up. Jal gave him a hand and hoisted him up into a hug. "God dang it, Leaf, don't ever do that again. Land sirens are dangerous," Jal exclaimed, tightening his hold on the boy. Leaf stood there for a moment, pondering about whether he should reciprocate the hug or not. Before he could decide, however, Jal pulled away, staring at Leaf scrupulously. Leaf just stared at the ground. "I'm fine, Jal. No need to worry about me," Leaf said, cracking a faint, self-deprecating smile. "Since when have you done that anyway?" "Since the moment I met you," Jal said. Leaf finally met his deep brown eyes and noticed that Jal's angered expression had faltered, only to be replaced by something unreadable to him. Their eyes stayed connected for a moment before Jal turned away, his body angled towards their campsite. "Let's get back to camp. We have a long day ahead of us."